Okay, today we'll mainly talk about the troubleshooting cases. And we are not going to talk about the basic knowledge because all the basic knowledge has been already uploaded to our training material link. Okay. So can you see my screen? So this is the main page of our training material. And you can find all the PowerPoint, all the documents, guidance, troubleshooting, and the recorded videos that we have already recorded previously, okay? So we'll mainly talk about those 4 documents, which is called troubleshooting. And let's take a look at the first. If we have any special requirements or questions of the troubleshooting part, I will pick up the most important sections and do some explanation to you for your better repair, okay? So firstly, let's take a look at the first troubleshooting document. Here, from the manual, we will find many different sections of troubleshooting cases, and we'll start from the most important one, which is called the T-series, product material compatibility. In this section, we'll know if we want to exchange same functions module between different models. For example, I would like to use the motor of T16 to T20. Is it available? The answer, according to this section, is obviously no. Let's take a look. The motor of T16 can only used by T16 by itself, and so as to the T20, T10, and T30. But things will be a little bit different for the, for example, like the silicone rubber pad, Teflon gasket, the propeller holders, and the 33-inch propellers. Okay. For the first 4, we can use them between T10 to T30. But especially for the 33-inch propeller, we can only interchangeable between T10 and T16 and T20, not available on T30, okay? And here we see the T30's propeller, we can only install the 38-inch, okay? So as to the second part of this section, for example, for this part, we are going to talk about some mainboards interchangeable possibility between different models. For example, like the aerial electronic board can only be exchanged between T10 and T30, so as to the spring module, RF module, RTK module, and also the same to the radar, to the liquid level meter and the remote controller. And things will be a little bit different to the other mainboards. So if you are interested about this part, you can spend more time after our today's training, okay? I realized that we have some new trainee attending to our meeting room for better understanding. If you have any questions or any doubts need to discuss with us, you can leave the message in the meeting room, and also you can unmute your microphone, okay? So let's continue. I realize that some of you are interested about the intelligent flight battery and chargers compatibility. So let's take a look together. For the first one, T30's intelligent flight battery can only be available on itself. Okay, you cannot use the T30's intelligent flight battery for of T30 on T10, T20, and T16. This is not a MIT and will not be work. Okay, and also the same situation to T10's intelligent flight battery. It can be only available for itself. But here to the T20's intelligent flight battery, it's available on T10, T20, and T16. Okay. And the T30's battery station can only be used by itself. And same situation to the another situation to T10's intelligent battery station between T10, T20, and T16. So as to the T20's 4-channel intelligent battery charger. Okay, so don't miss them. Don't use the wrong type of the intelligent battery and chargers. Okay, this is very important. So far, any questions about the first section, compatibility? I think this part will be a little bit meaningful to the new beginners, to eager to know what exactly the modules I can do the exchange between different models. Any questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the next important part. Because there is too much information and I'm not going to explain one by one, and I will pick up the most important part, okay? And the next one I want to share with you is the number 18. So we can see from the manual, we can turn to the page 11 to get access to the section 18. So let's do this. And here, notices of propellers and propeller adapter replacement. Because for some dealers, they are not realizing these kind of notices. The corresponding screws need to be replaced and the screw glue needs to be applied every time. Okay, because the screws and the glues on the motors, propellers are very easy to be damaged. So every time after you do the repair on the propeller, on the motors, you need to try to replace a new screws. And also don't forget to apply screw glues. So here, I think maybe there's some of you have the question about the glue type, right? The glue type. So don't worry about that. Let's go back to the main page of the training material link. So here on the bottom side, we can see a document which is called glue type suggestions. Let's take a look. What will happen and what information we can get after opening this document. Here, so refer to the previous model, glue type and the color of it. You can try to refer to this kind of glue brand, glue model, and the glue type. You can refer to this brand, model, and type and color to use the proper glues on your screw, on your main boards. Okay, and maybe some countries cannot or are not able to purchase the related brand. For this kind of situation, you can just contact with your regional manager for the proper advice to the glues or the other kind of materials. Okay. So let's go back to the troubleshooting cases. So let's see together which part will be the next important part. So, okay, get it. For example, for the 32, what is the detection range? Let me see. Okay, see, the 31st. How can the issue be fixed when the spring system 3.0 cannot be identified by the Agras app? I think this will be the, for some of you, will be the common issue during the repair, right? So let's take a look. What can we do? Referring to this troubleshooting guidance. And we can see, we can turn to page 19 to refer to the 31st. Maybe for some reason, you need to turn to the next page and then you will see the referred or relate section. So how can we do if we are facing to this kind of situation cannot be identified? The possible reason, we list up 4 common reasons. The first, version is too old. Okay, for this, it's very easy to be fixed. You just need to try update the firmware version. The second reason should be the control board module is damaged. And third, the cable connector of the spring system of aircraft power distribution board is damaged. The fourth, the ESC cable or the spring system 2-in-1 cable is damaged. Okay, so if you first, you need to know what exactly the total amount of the possible reasons, and then you can try to locate the damaged main boards. So after knowing we have 4 possible reasons to cause this kind of situation or malfunctions, and then we need to try to do something to locate the damage, right? So here you can just follow the steps according to different scenarios. The first, we need to power on the aircraft and the remote controller and link them together to check the firmware. For this step, we need to click the aircraft firmware version number 10 times. Remember this? For this step, we need to click the aircraft firmware version number for 10 times. And it will pop out a window and which will show the package of each module of the aircraft. Okay, 10 times and until this window pops out. Okay. And next, we need to check the firmware package of the spreading system to see if the codes 0502 and 0503 are identified. And here we have 3 different situations. So let's take a look. In 3 different situations, what can we do? If the codes 02 and 03 are not identified, then it means that the cable connector of the spring system or aircraft power distribution board is damaged. Okay, so for this situation, we need to do the cross test. Okay, which means that we need to replace the 2 modules with a new one. So this is called cross test. And if we find only 02 is identified, and then the cable connector on the way collection board is reserved. Okay. So for this kind of situation, we just need to connect the cable correctly and see this phenomenon precise or not. Okay, if the situation or malfunction precise, we need, for this situation, we need to check the way collection board is damaged or not. Okay, and for the second step, we talked about only 02 is identified. But what will happen if only 03 is identified? For this situation, the control board is damaged. Okay, if you see only 03 is identified, we need to replace the control module. Okay, so I think maybe some of you have the question about this part. What exactly 0502 and 0503 means? So you can refer to this list. Okay, you see? So if you find any other codes, and then you can find them in this list, you just need to detect that and try to do some cross tests. If you find the related module is damaged, just replace the new one. Okay. So take a good use to this list. It's a little bit helpful for you, and it can make your repair work more efficient. Okay. So let's take a look what will be the next important. Okay, here I think maybe the most of you face this kind of malfunction oftenly. How can the issue be fixed if the T-series aircraft QR code cannot be uploaded several times? So we can refer and turn to the 22 pages. Yeah. How can the issue be fixed if the QR code cannot be uploaded several times? Okay. So we have several solutions. The first, you can temporarily save it to the remote controller or save it to the SD card and then export it through the computer. It's kind of easy method. So how can we do that? First, select the log. But I think for this part, most of you are very familiar, right? So let's turn to the next page. This is the upload main page. Next, or we can, so how to do this to save it to the remote controller or SD card? The first method, the first solution, use this interface to help you do the upload or download, okay? Next, we need to connect the remote controller to the computer. And we need to go get access to the path, which is this one. And then we can find related data according to the date of the document. So don't forget the date of the document which is generated, okay? And next, if you need to save the log to the SD card, we need to follow the steps. And we are going to talk about the steps later on. So first, we need to enter the file manager and click here. Click the icon here. And we need to select the data that we need and click the copy. Okay, click the copy. The copy, okay, and then you will see a copy icon in this interface. And then you will see this interface and select SD card. And find the path that you need to save in the SD card, and then click the paste. Then the log saved to SD card is finished. Okay, so we don't have just one way to save and upload the log. Okay. So far, we talked about three main troubleshooting cases and its solutions. Do you have any questions that you need to discuss about? Okay, if there is no, we will turn to the second troubleshooting document. Don't forget to spend time after our today's training to read them all if you got any time, because it's too much information and it's impossible for you to know every one of them. Okay, so each of them is important, but we will talk about the most important during our training. Okay, next, the second document. Let's take a look. For the second document, the same method of our today's training. So let me see. Maybe some of you are facing to this kind of situation. I'm not sure because there's no any response from your side. So let's take a look at the first one that I want to share with you. What can we do? And what's the possible reason to cause this? like T30 firmware update failure, and in constant firmware version. The phenomenon is like when updating the T30 aircraft firmware with DJI Assistant 2 or by using the remote controller, an update fail or incompatible firmware versions, warning will be shown after firmware update. So for this kind of situation, we need to check, is there any damage on the hardware or on the software? Okay, but if we see some special situation like an error code -4000 is shown, you need to indicate that the firmware update is failed. If we see this code is shown on your app, we need to refer to the solution too. Okay. Or the next phenomenon, like you will see when you have already updated the T30's firmware with our remote controller, you will see an installation failed on your app. And or it will say check and try again or incompatible firmware versions on your app. So what exactly we can do if we are facing to this kind of situation? We have several methods and solutions. We need to check the error codes in DJI Assistant 2. And also we need to check. So first step, check the error codes in DJI Assistant 2. Next, check the cable. Okay. And then if the cable is working fine, we need to replug the cable and replace the cable and then try again. Okay, because for the most possible reason, it will be caused by the cable issue. Yeah, for some situation, after replacing the new cable, this will be working fine. Or we have the second solution. After the remote controller is linked with the aircraft, we need to follow the previous method. Click the aircraft firmware version number for 10 times, and then one window will pop out, right? Yeah, and check the version of it. So no matter you use the computer or your remote controller to check the damage or locate the damage, one thing you must do is to check the cable, okay, and try to use another cable to see this phenomenon precise or not. If not, refer to this page according to the error code, because each error code means different damage modules. Okay, so you can just refer to this list. Okay, there is too much, so you have to spend more time to get used to it and master it, so that you can locate the damage more correctly. Okay, so what exactly the error code means and how do we recognize the error code? For example, like a minute. For example, like the screenshot here. Okay, I think, oh yes. For example, like the screenshot that the firmware update is failed by using DJI Assistant 2 by your computer. And then you will see the error code here. I'm not sure you can see it clearly, but it's like 021A34, right? And then how to refer to the list. You can see it's found that 18 indicates the radar ESC. Let's take a look. You see, 18 refer to 0 to 18. So which means radar electronic speed controller. So which means that the radar is not successfully updated. So for this kind of situation, what can we do? Any answers or volunteers want to share your answer? Because we see 0 to 18, 34. So we find here, referred to here, which means that the error comes from the radar ESC. So how can we do to fix this kind of issue? Okay, the answer from the side, I see this error codes only work on T30. Oh, I think I need to check your question. Yeah, I think I can reply you later. And let's go back to our question. What can we do if we find the 18th error code is occurred? What can we do? As we just mentioned, which means that the radar ESC is not working. Its firmware has not been updated. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the answer. Remember the 10 times operation? Remember the 10 times operation. After 10 times operation, we will see a window is pop out, right? And then it will show each module's update condition, right? And then you will find the related package of radar ESC and try to update it individually to see this problem precise or not. Okay. So the first solution is to update again, but normally the update, re-update cannot be fixed. For the other situation, you need to check the radar itself. Yeah, so which means that we need to check the radar, check the cable first. Right? Yeah, check the cable, check the radar first. And don't forget our common operation, which is called the cross test. Okay. If you find the radar is not working fine, you just need to change a new radar. Okay. So next, we need to use the 10 times operation to see the pop-out window. Okay, and the detail operation, you can just refer to this page. Okay, I think this operation is more like you need to try in the actual field, and then you will remember it clearly. Okay. So the next, let me see. Okay. So the number 4. Yes, here. The section 6 is there anybody can recognize the material of this one? Is there anybody can tell me what's the material is on your screen? Okay, I think it's a little bit difficult for you, but the very important thing I want to share is that if you find that if there is any corrosion or debris in a port, or for something like this, you see there is obvious debris in the port. So what you're gonna do if you see this kind of issue, if you see this debris, what will you do? You need to leave it alone, or just despite it, or you need to try to do something. What you're gonna do normally if you meet this kind of situation? Try to clean it. Okay, so let's take a look. what exactly we need to do if we are facing to this kind of situation. Exactly. First, we need to try to clean it. But remember, we need to use the use alcohol or cotton swab to clean it. Okay, and don't forget to clean the related port carefully or gently. Okay. The reason why is that we need to avoid the issue when the aircraft is short circuit or the impedance continues to increase after the aircraft is power on. Okay, resulting in the aircraft scorched due to high temperature. Okay, it's even though you find it's very lightly dirty things on it, but it influences a lot to our main boards, to our charging ports or cable ports. So every time you see this kind of corrosion or debris, try to clean it by using alcohol or cotton swab. Okay. If you find it's, so what you're gonna do if you find it's very hard to do the clean? What are you gonna do if you find it's very hard to do the cleaning? Just leave it alone or do something. Change. Yes, great. If it cannot be cleaned, it is recommended to replace the corresponding module. Okay. If you've tried, there's no any way to remove the debris corrosion, don't forget to change the whole module. Okay. And here will be another important part is to make sure you detect the board between before powering on. Okay, so before powering on the aircraft, use a multimeter to check the resistance. If the data is less than or equal to 1, the power distribution board will smoke and catch fire after power on. Okay. Do you have this tool? Do you have this tool? If not, prepare one, at least one. Okay. If not, prepare at least one. If the data shows that less than 1 or equal to 1, you need to try to do something. Okay. Or this main board will burn. Okay. Or unfortunately, if the temperature of the relevant modules is too high to cause smoking or burning back, please, okay, please provide the following information and contact DJI After Sales Service for analyze. From your site, you can just contact with the regional manager directly, okay? First, we need to provide the information like check whether the spring module was replaced. Okay, check that machines. check that machine's spring module was replaced or not. Okay, to tell us the result that you discover, and tell us how many flights have been performed before the issue occurs. And then tell us the duration of the issue. And tell us the operation scene. Was it spraying or was it spreading? Okay. And also don't forget to tell us, has the aircraft been repaired or what components have been replaced to that machine? Okay. It will help us to do the efficient reply to you. And let's see what will be the next that it's important to discuss. Okay, number 8. Maybe some of you have been already faced to these malfunctions, like the egress app prompts and unable to take off warning. And also normally you will see a data after the warning message. You see the warning message data is 160. So you can refer to this list to find out the reason. 160. You see, refer to this list, which means and tell us that the flight controller and the ESC firmware do not match. So what exactly the solution if we are facing to this solution, facing to this kind of situation? The suggestion is right over here. We need to update the firmware to the latest version. Okay, if you find it's not working to the firmware updating, just go back to the refer section to help you to do the operation. Okay. So for example, if you see 19, if you see 19 code after the warning message, which means that the simulator mode, okay, and for the aircraft is under simulator mode. For this situation, we just need to disconnect the aircraft and computer and restart the aircraft. Okay, and also you can just share this kind of message to our customer for better using experience. Okay, and for example, like our customer finds that the number 11 is after the warning message, you can just tell him the battery is not working fine. So this kind of situation, you will give them the suggestion to replace a new battery. Okay, so we can very easily to find out the reason, the malfunction reason, according to the message after the warning. Okay. So let's take a look at the next one. Same as to the previous document, we turn to page 20. Talk about the radar issues. What if we find T20, T30 and T10 firmware update failure, radar switch not respond, radar disconnected after repair multiple times. So the main reason is that corrosion of cables and ports leads to short circuit, and the component will be damaged after replacement. So what can we do? First, we can refer to the firmware issue solution. And the next, we can check whether the component connection link is not working. Yeah. And if yes, replace the component. So what exactly the detailed operation we need to do? Just for example, if the firmware updates, it is found there is an error with the radar link. First, we need to check the port. We need to check the whole link between aerial electronic board to radar, right? So first we need to check the ports of aerial electronic board, cable distribution board, radar cable, or the radar is damaged or not. Okay, so this is the radar control link from aerial electronic board to radar itself. If you find there is any damage between the radar control link, we need to replace the radar, or we need to replace the cable. We need to replace the aerial electronic board one by one to do some cross test. Okay, and if after doing that, nothing changed and the malfunction precise, we need to check, is there any corrosion between them? Okay, between the cable, between the port, between the module itself. Okay, so the very important thing about this part is that we need to check the cable or the port, cable port first to check, is there any corrosion on it? Make sure the cable, the cable distribution module are not corroded or blackened. Okay, check the cable first, check the cable port for next, and check the cable distribution module, the third step. Okay, and after checking the cable, the port, the cable distribution module is not damaged, and then you can try to start to change the aerial electronic port and the radar's cable and radar itself. Okay. And let's see what's the next important part. I think there has no much very important thing that I can share to you. And remember, it doesn't mean that